Hello and welcome to Across the Bifrost, the Mighty Thor podcast, where each and every episode we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. Today we are back in our throwback series. We are talking issues 116 and 117 of Journey into Mystery with our special guest, a good friend of mine, Curtis Spears, who is calling in all the way from London in the UK. So we have a great conversation. We really explored the themes in these two issues. There was so much to unpack here, and we hope you enjoy our conversation about these two issues. Also, coming up in December, I know I've been saying this a lot, guys. I don't want you to forget. I've got some great gifts and some presents in mind for you this December, this holiday season. So there's a lot of great things coming up on the podcast. I'm going to do a little bit more detail in the end of the episode, but we got some great guests coming up, and Curtis is just a fantastic guest to have on here. Of all the great guests we've had, I think Curtis and I, it was just fun to rekindle the friendship that we had a few years back when we were just two guys hanging out at a comic book store in Cheyenne, Wyoming, just trying to kill some time and read some good comics. So today we do the exact same thing. We kill some time when we read some awesome comics. I hope you enjoy this episode. I will get you into this conversation with Curtis, and then we'll do all the other stuff at the end of the podcast. I hope that you stick around for a new segment and a little bit of information about what's coming up next week. We got some surprises in mind for you. Until then, enjoy this conversation with Curtis Spears in our Throwback Thursday series.
Cross the rainbow bridge of Asgard, where the booming heavens roar. You'll behold in breathless wonder the god of thunder, mighty Thor.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Throwback Thor issues. We are going to be talking about issues 116 and 117 today. We are finally at the trial of the gods. It's going to be an action-packed few pages that we're going to break down today, but with me on the other end of this chat, his name is Curtis Spears, and I will let him introduce himself right now. Curtis, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great, man. I've had a good morning so far, reading some old comic books, and I'm ready to talk about it. These are some issues we're going to break down today, man. We're going to have a good time.
So Curtis and I, we met through a mutual friend many years ago, and now we are worlds apart. Curtis is calling in from the UK this morning. This morning for me, afternoon for him.
It's mid-afternoon for me. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon here in foggy London town.
He had to over-explain that to me so many times, everybody, and I couldn't just Google it. I had to go old school and have someone explain it to me word for word. But
that was a lot of fun. We can peek behind the curtain there when I was trying to explain to you about the time zones, and you said, "Don't you still live in Wyoming?" I said, "No, man. Wyoming's not a 6-hour time difference from where you are."
And I just had no idea. We'd fallen out of communication for a little bit, but now that we've reconnected and we brought you on this very specific episode that we're going to be talking about some old Thor comics. I just wanted to know, Curtis, before we jump in page by page, kind of how we break down comics here on the show. What is your personal history, your personal origin with Thor as a character, as a world to be explored? I'm very curious to know where that began for you.
I started reading comics in the early 90s. My dad bought me a large group of comics from a local supplier. I'm not sure if it was a comic shop or anything. He got it for me for Christmas one year. It was a big orange cardboard bin that had different characters drawn on it. It was, there was Wolverine was on a Daredevil, things like that. And inside was about a long box's worth of extra comics. And inside they had some new, some old. I remember some of them specifically, like which issues it was. The first one that really grabbed me was it was a Frank Miller Daredevil. And like,
Awesome.
there's really good stuff, right? But like, not every 9-year-old should have a Frank Miller Daredevil comic.
No, they should not.
That's not really a thing. But it made me the man I am today, man child I am today.
We
Because
have Frank Miller to thank for that.
I have Frank Miller to thank for that. But yeah, no, that was probably my first introduction to Thor. The thing about that Thor is the first Thor that I found was Thunderstrike.
Okay.
And I was like, this dude is cool looking, man. He's got a leather jacket and a ponytail.
He's got a ponytail.
This guy definitely listens to Bon Jovi. Look at him. And
He rocks hard.
He rocks so hard. I thought Thunderstrike was badass. And so yeah, I got into him, and then I got into Beta Ray Bill as well. Like I didn't see Thor until I was but a man. I love those two characters specifically. So it was through them that I was introduced to the wider world of Thor. And it's the Thors that I like are like the Thunderstrike, obviously, and I like some of the more obscure Thors. Like I really love the Ultimates universe.
Yes.
And I love Ultimate Thor. I think Ultimate Thor might be my favorite Thor. Mostly, yeah, he's my favorite Thor because he's just it's such a wild character that he's, when you're first introduced to him, you don't know if he's Thor, if he's crazy, if he's some sort of hippie who's co-opting the Thor name. Does he actually have powers? Is the suit that he's wearing what powers? You don't know these, and it's so cool. And I love that character so much. So I guess I'm on the fringes of Thor, and I don't really have a connection with Thor proper. I have a connection with those fringes more.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned so many great secondary supporting versions of the 616 version of Thor we're gonna unearth today from his Silver Age origins. Had you ever, before we jump into the actual issues, had you ever read any old Journey into Mystery? This very, very Silver Age version of the character?
So I've read some of it. Most of it was in reprints and things like that. So I would find like black and white reprints, and in the back bins at the local comic shop where I was, and I would find certain issues out of order and things like that. I never really sat down and read a run of them, and I have a love-hate relationship with the issues that you had me read today, because I think Stan Lee's a fun writer. It's good ideas. I love Jack Kirby, and very few do not. And the second that we turn this page is where I said, Ryan set me up. He set me up, because the second I turned this page, I saw written by Stan Lee, drawn by Jack Kirby, inked by Vince Colletta. Bro.
I had a feeling someone was going to have a hot take about him eventually.
This is I think the first inking that he ever did for Jack Kirby.
I do believe you're right there, because this began their long work on Thor together.
And I thought this was a rib on me, because I remember you posted about Vince Colletta in the Across the Bifrost Facebook page, and I was like, oh man, Vince Colletta, garbage, absolute garbage. And you were like, oh no, some people like him, some people don't. And I'm like, well, I don't.
Some people are dumb.
I do not like what he does. I by all accounts, he was a very nice man. He was very loyal, especially to someone like Jim Shooter, and I appreciate that. But oh my God, was he lazy? Oh Lord. So we'll get into it as we go through the issues. But man, oh man, there was some of these points where I was just looking at it going, you son of a gun.
So funny story about that. I did not even realize what I had done until after the fact, and I was like, oh right, he doesn't like Vince
Oh,
Coletta.
I hate Vince Coletta.
And I wish it had been a rib on purpose, because that would have made it a lot more. It would have made it a lot funnier. My master Loki-esque scheme would have come into play, but my genius was completely on accident.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
The second you said Journey into Mystery 116, I was like, he knows what he's doing. That's because it's I don't know if you saw remember my message, but I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. We'll break that one down.
I was like, oh, what have I done here? But speaking of your hot takes on these issues, let's jump on in and let's begin the trial of the gods. This is a storyline that has been hinted at over the last few issues of Thor. It's one of the I think this storyline is actually one of the first times that Stan and Jack are telling a rolling story where there's elements of this story that have been hinted at 2-3 months back in 2-3 editions of the book back, and now we're finally at the trial of the gods. We've dealt with the absorbing man for the time being, and now Odin has pronounced that Loki and Thor will end their dispute for once and for all, which of course they do not.
I'm gonna stare at you with disbelieving eyes, because I don't think that happens.
So I'm gonna turn our page as we're looking at the issues here side by side, and I'm gonna read the cast of creators, and then we'll let Curtis loose on this one.
I got takes.
And as we read these, most times I'll read them in the way that Stan Lee presents them. This issue is written by Imperial Stan Lee. It is illustrated by Impregnable Jack Kirby. It is inked by Implacable Vince Coletta, and it's lettered by Impossible Artie Simic. Curtis, I hand the stage over to you.
Oh, so Vince Coletta. Let's talk about him. Vince Coletta is a talented person. He can draw and he can ink. The problem with Vince Coletta is he loved money. And what he would do is he stopped drawing when he realized that he could ink fast and easy. So what he would do is just ink someone else's pages. Ink them. He would cut all sorts of corners and get that money because he was getting paid by the page. And by all means, that people thought he was efficient. The Marvel publishers were fine with it. This guy's getting out an entire book in a weekend. This is great for us. But when it comes to someone like Jack Kirby, who would draw these intricate backgrounds of scientific machinery or cityscapes and things like that, and Coletta would just make the whole thing black or simplify everything until it doesn't even look like it works anymore. Like the fantastic space scenes that he would draw, Coletta would just go like, I don't feel like getting on my circle template right now, and just ink the whole thing. When you would see, and there's a couple examples of that in these two comics, you'll see anytime there's a face, a close up on a face of Loki, and he's having this moment of like anger, and then you see like the look in his eyes, and his eyes are just blank because Coletta couldn't be bothered to actually ink the eyes. It's just a circle, and it just ruins the work of Jack Kirby, who at this point was developing into one of the best artists of all time. Now, I'll say he's got this great use of motion. There's, if you see like on the very first page here, you see the very delicate line work. Yes. On in the shadows on the throne, or in the back where the man's hitting the gong. That delicate line work is really nice, but when it gets to close-ups and things like that, I'll point out a couple of times where it just gets really lazy.
Okay. Well, and I've heard this description of Vince Coletta's work, and this is really the first time that we've really gone in depth on him as a person in early Marvel history. And Vince Coletta sticks around in Thor stories for a long time.
And that's because Kirby did not look at finished products. Kirby would not look at his own comic books,
which is
because
just insane.
Oh, right. Like,
I would be hawking my own stuff all the time if I had that
right?
talent.
I listen to my own podcast because I'm a jerk. But like,
I'm an egomaniac. I listen to my own too because I like my stuff.
it must be something. It must be something with artists.
So, man, we've actually got some pages to turn, and we've got some content to create here. So I am going to jump past the opening splash page because we've already waxed poetic about it, and we're going to jump into the body of the conflict for this issue, the trial of the gods. So Odin has had enough of his son's squabbling, and in last issue he shatters a room in half and says, okay, I'm done with you guys, we're gonna order the trial of the gods. And after Thor deals with Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man, he goes back to Asgard and he submits himself to the rulership of Odin, while Loki's still trying to scheme his way out of it, as he is wont to do. And Odin he gets the hammer from Thor, and the two are sent off to Skornheim. Skornheim is this wasteland where basically it's the first guy that gets back to Asgard wins, in layman's terms. And Loki unveils his plan that he's got his agents, the Executioner and the Enchantress, working on Midgard to distract Thor because they're going after Jane Foster as Thor and Loki begin the trial of the gods. So, Curtis, as we jump into the first few pages here, the trial of the gods has been ordered. Where your first impressions of the impetus of this story?
So the beginning of the story that I'm looking at here is I've never read this issue, and I made sure specifically not to read the issues ahead of it because I wanted to go in cold and see if I could. I understand that, comics at this point, they did tell a story that was told over many issues, but they also told a singular story per issue.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see if this could stand on its own. And I think that this really did. The very beginning, you're told exactly what they're supposed to do. You're told exactly how they're supposed to do it. You're told the box that they've been put in, the ramifications of what they have to do, and everything that they're doing is set up in just like 1 or 2 pages. That's the thing about Stan's writing. It's bombastic, but it's to the point.
Yeah.
He doesn't, I was going to say he doesn't mince words, but he does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He gets to the point. He gives you all the exposition you need and just lets the story go. So that's a lot of fun. It kind of annoyed me that the very first thing is Loki goes, I'm gonna go ahead and just win this, but because I've got a bag of tricks. And like, that's okay. Yeah, that's Loki. And I guess this is early still, so it just seemed like that was very low level Loki for someone who's reading comics in 2021. But I've got to take off that modern veil that I'm seeing everything through.
Yeah. You can't read Loki, Agent of Asgard, into this.
Exactly.
Kieran Gillen's Loki. This is a very simplistic Loki, and there's one thing when you mentioned Stan as a writer. So take or leave all the behind the scenes stuff that people will throw into arguments of, are you a Stan Lee guy or a Jack Kirby guy? I'm both. I love them as a team because on their own, I think they're good on their own. I think they're legendary together.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I've heard some friends of mine said on a previous episode that Jack thought that a picture was worth 1,000 words. Well, Stan Lee thought 1,000 words was worth 1,000 words. And so,
he got every bit out of that 1,000 words, didn't he?
Oh my goodness. And speaking of pictures and just some fantastic imagery going into the actual chase of the issue, they go through these, it's almost like a formulaic adventure story. It's the chase to get back to the place that they have to arrive at, and the winner is it's like a mythological fantasy decathlon, and they are running through all these different obstacles. There's a forest that's made of razor sharp thorns that Loki is able to transparently move through. Thor chooses the less tactful way, and he just smashes through the whole thing. And then they run into, I believe his name is Yag, the Invincible.
That guy is so cool looking. Oh man.
He looks like an old like gladiator movie B villain.
Mhm.
And then there's a little bit of a well, you know what? Let's stop at Yag for a second. So these obstacles are thrown in front of Thor and Loki. And then Curtis, one of my favorite panels in this entire up until right now, one of my favorite panels ever is Odin in the bathtub.
Odin in his jacuzzi.
Just
Yeah.
chilling. And that
Just
thing
hanging.
looks comfy as hell. Just
Oh yeah.
and then he has the Odin robe. I love little things like that. It's so odd and it's so weird, and I just couldn't love it more.
Well, that the coolest part of this is like Jack had such a wild imagination. So you see like the tub that he has, it looks like a barrel, kind of like for meat or something like that, but it's also got like some mechanical bits to it. And then it's got these two like fountains that come out of the back and they pour hot water into it. And I imagine so that makes it look like, oh, maybe there's some sort of recycling contraption that goes through it. And so like that, who thinks of that, man? That's so neat. And it just looks like something that a dwarf would make from Lord of the Rings or something. And like, but in space, question mark.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
coming coming this summer, Jack Kirby designed bathtubs. Oh my gosh, that'd be
Me too.
so Yag is the obstacle of Thor and Loki at this point, and Thor dispatches him fairly easily. The invincible Yag is beaten, like I think in a matter of like 4 or 5 panels.
Yeah, page and a half, something like that.
And, while this is going on, Odin sends Balder to Earth to keep Jane Foster safe from the executioner and the enchantress. So there's a lot of layering going on here. We've got multiple stories going on at the same time, and the pacing. I wanted to get your opinion on the pacing of this, because sometimes Silver Age comics get they get branded with this like it's really wordy and it's kind of boring. It's really wordy and it's kind of boring. I was not bored during this issue at all because it keeps moving.
One of the things that this issue specifically does, it does, like you said, keep moving. But the problem with it is it cuts a lot. Like they cut between each different trial that they're doing. They kind of get through it really fast. Loki's got this. He's playing Calvin ball, isn't he? Every single thing that they come across, he's got the fix for it, and he's like, oh, new rule, I can do this. Yep. And oh, here's my new power. And it was just like in 115 where Thor has like nuclear energy. Yep. Like it was just something that just came out of nowhere. Loki's like, I got this now. I got this now too. And then Thor, of course, just bashes everything, which is fun. He bashes Yag, he bashes the forest that he has to walk through. He's Thor. When you have a hammer, every problem's a nail, isn't it? That's an appropriate saying. So there's a lot of cutting between those things that they're doing very quickly, and they're cutting back and forth to Odin. And I'm as I'm reading this, the one thing that I kept wondering is, why can't Odin see that Loki's cheating? Why is Odin not watching the trials? He's got
Yep.
the ability to see. I'm sure he does in some way. And if he knew where they were going, is it just because it's not that there's no rules, because he sets out a bunch of rules for them.
Yeah.
And he obviously cares that they're not cheating, or else he would have just been like, okay, first one you to make it home, just go, and like left him with his hammer and things like that. So he obviously cares that the rules are being followed. He sets out enough rules that they need to comply with, then he doesn't make sure. There's no ref, you know.
Yeah, it's like in a game of basketball, it's like throwing the tip off up and be like, okay, I'll
Yeah,
just,
I'm out. I'm gonna go get a coffee. I'll be back later.
yeah. It's like, wait, are we gonna call fouls? Call your own fouls.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
Uh,
playoff hockey. The rules are different.
yes. I should have definitely gone with a hockey reference because you're a big hockey guy.
It's okay. Basketball's fine too.
So we get a few more of the obstacles after Yag is defeated. Carnivorous plants are always fun.
Oh, I love the look of these guys. Like the bird plant with a skull face. That guy's cool, man.
It's very trippy. It's almost like a demented kind of like grim fairy tale kind of just kind of a morbid looking
It
scene.
looks like Sesame Street on acid, kind of.
And there's the soundbite for the episode.
Not that I know what that's like. Question mark.
Jumping back to Earth, Balder fends off the Executioner and the Enchantress from taking Jane and using her kind of as how do I say this, as like ransom. Like they are gonna hold her and so that they can distract Thor from beating Loki. And then some great panels happen because one of the members of the Teen Brigade, who are a group of teens and young kids,
Rick Jones homies.
Yeah, Rick Jones's posse. One of the members of the Teen Brigade sees this happening on the street below, and he starts to radio for anyone to come and help. And Curtis, who does he reach out to that makes some pretty awesome crossovers in this issue?
So first thing is, of course, you try and go with the Avengers first. And they're having a heart to heart. They're doing a powwow, and that's cool. But they're just like, oh nope, we can't answer this message because Thor needs to be a man on his own. We shouldn't even bother to check on him. What? Okay,
arbitrary rule that they
yeah
out of nowhere.
Then of course, next up is my homeboy Daredevil.
Daredevil.
This is so fun that you get to see like Daredevil crossover in this lovely comic. And I don't know of many times when Jack drew Daredevil, so that's a lot of fun getting to see.
Yeah, because initially it was Bill Everett, and then like Wally Wood created the version of Daredevil that everyone knows.
The armored Daredevil, obviously.
Yeah. So the version of Daredevil we get here is a rare appearance of Jack drawing Daredevil, which is, like you said, pretty
awesome.
And then we don't see them, but they are referenced. The last group that the radioing teen reaches out to is the Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm. He goes straight for the Baxter building.
Yeah, but then the Frightful Four, the dark doubles of the Fantastic Four. I believe it's the Wizard, Sandman, Medusa, and the Melter, or Paste Pot Pete, or it's something really bizarre and weird. They think they've beaten the Fantastic Four. This happens in Fantastic Four number 38, and out of nowhere, a flaming like a ball of energy shoots down to the top of the Baxter building, and they think it's the Human Torch. In all reality, it's Balder the Brave. Balder the Brave has come to Earth to defend Jane and get her away from the Enchantress and the Executioner. So just like those panels are so great because it does something that the Marvel Universe has always been known for. It's crossing over.
That was one of the things I used to love about Marvel when I was a kid, is that it took place in a reality that I was aware of. I've never been to New York City when I was a kid, but I knew that New York City existed,
Yeah.
and everyone was just kind of there. Spider-Man was there, the Fantastic Four were there, Daredevil was there. So when you get to see those sort of crossovers, and that's another thing, like MCU movies, people are always like, oh, how can anybody have a solo adventure now? There should always be a crossover now. Anytime there's a Thor movie, if he's on Earth, Iron Man should show up.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, I mean, the dude's got other stuff to do, but like this is pretty cool. You can have those cameo appearances. It's really neat.
Yeah. The interconnectedness of the
Mhm.
Marvel universe truly made it special. And so Marvel just takes a different approach at it, and we get some awesome little cameos before Balder shows up, and then we cut back to the last few pages of this adventure where Thor is trailing behind Loki, and Loki is almost at the finish line, and we're left with this moment of despair for Thor, where he's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna lose this." He actually ends the issue saying, "Despite my every effort, he beat me. Loki with his sinister stones," which is hilarious, and his cunning, his deceit. Loki has won, and
Yeah,
then
Loki with his shark repellent bat spray has
so repellent
it's
bats.
it's that level of absurdity. There's one spot where when Loki gets to the carnivorous forest, he's like, "Oh, I have my carnivorous forest repellent," and he just pulls that out of his bag, and it's like, okay.
Much like golden and silver age Batman, he has the superpower of convenience.
Yep. Yep. He's got the power of what I need when I need it. And
Yeah.
that's cool. And I think that would have been cooler if he had been relying on wits and things like that while Thor was relying on brawn and muscle, you know. That would have been a lot funner. Instead, he's relying on he's relying on a bag of tricks that just gives him whatever MacGuffin he needs at the time. So
Yeah.
cool, I guess. I mean, it is in character because Loki, he had this plan all along where he was going to do this trial, and he hid the stones on his person. They make a joke about how like no one lifted up his tunic or something like that at the beginning, and I was like, okay, Stan, that's cool.
Good. I'm good.
Yeah.
And at this point, I mean, the Norn stones, as they're known, they, like you said, they are a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
And even to this day, the Norn stones do not have a like this is what they do kind of thing. They're just a powerful Asgardian artifact that whatever we need them to do, they can do. And so that template has definitely bled into modern iterations of those objects showing up in comics, and they play a principal part in the next issue. But before we jump over to the next issue, Curtis, this Trial of the Gods, this issue, anything like that you want to hit on before we leave this? And maybe like, what was your favorite panel? I would really like to know that. What was your favorite panel from this issue?
I definitely have a least favorite panel in this issue.
Okay.
It's near the beginning. There's a panel that it's about a quarter of the page. It's this close up on Odin's face, and it is so gorgeous. You can see the bushiness of his eyebrows. You can see
Yes.
there it is on page 3. You can see like every line, every dent in his helmet, and then you get that Vince Colletta nonsense of not inking the eyes. That's what I'm talking about. Look at how the delicate lines he did for the eyebrows.
Yes.
And the shadows they did on the helmet right there. And then the eyes are just blank. And oh God, it hurts my soul.
I feel like I've unwittingly had you experience some deep-seated trauma here.
It's a thing. I mean, I'm one of those people that when I find something that I don't like, I will obsess on it, and that's not cool. I can think of a panel that I do actually like.
Okay.
There's one where I think it was when Thor was fighting Yag.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Yag. He's fighting Yag, and there's like an explosion behind him, and he's like jumping away from it, and you see him, and he's all silhouetted, and like there's just like power exploding behind him. Very, very, very cool panel.
Yeah. I like those panels where you can really sense Jack Kirby's energy when he
Mhm.
does something. My favorite things from this issue, really, I've seen Thor do action. I've seen him do awesome fight scenes. What I hadn't seen was the Odin bathtub. As now, it's headcanon. That's what it's called now. I accept no substitutes. And the awesome crossover cameos. I loved the Jack Kirby drawn Daredevil. I was just really I was all in on that.
I was so excited when it was Balder showing up instead of the Human Torch, because when it's the Baxter building, there's a giant fireball on top of the Baxter building. I was like, oh, it's Balder. He's showing up, and then like the next panel is him exiting out the bottom of the Baxter building, and in my head there was just this like going down, and like he's just chilling out, walking through the lobby, Oh, sorry, Reed. Sorry, I gotta get out of here.
Oh, I gotta get through here. Hey, that guy looks familiar.
I know him.
So jumping into the next issue, issue 117, entitled "Into the Blaze of Battle." And we're returning to an old, well-worn trope of Thor fighting communists. So this should be fun.
I have a small bone to pick with the cover there.
Okay.
If you can take a look at that, the guy on the bottom left of the not bottom left, about the mid bottom left, he's loading a mortar into the gun here, and the actual bomb is upside down.
He's loading it backwards.
I saw that and I was like, this is great.
Oh my God.
He's loading this mortar in backwards, and it's hilarious.
Which is so weird, because you would think Jack Kirby would know with his military experience. You'd think he'd know.
I don't even know what's going on there, but yeah,
it gives me so much joy, and it will definitely
good times.
Media when this episode comes out.
Oh, it's so fun.
Oh, he's loading a mortar backwards. That's fantastic. And the rest of the cover is Thor, just charging into battle with it in a very heroic pose. But then on our opening splash page, we will read the cast of characters who created this comic in the way that Stan Lee intended. This issue was regally written by Stan Lee. It was dazzlingly drawn by Jack Kirby. It was invincibly inked by Vince Colletta, and it was lonesomely lettered by Artie Simek. There we go. Only picking on letters yet again.
Oh, poor Artie.
I wish there was a record somewhere of like how Artie Simek really felt about having to letter all that stuff. It's like, yeah, I was not a fan. Or if he was like, whatever, like it would just be nice to know what he actually felt about having to basically dog himself in a public because the higher power said to do it. But
it does seem like a pretty good rib. And I mean, Stan would do that with everybody, but people would do that back at Stan, wouldn't they? Like when Kirby did that, when he created the Fourth World, he created Funky Fleischman, who is just Stan Lee, So I mean, maybe Funky Fleischman probably wasn't supposed to be a nice rib, but I like Funky Fleischman. I think he's great. So
one thing, I was listening to a little bit of another podcast the other day, breaking down some Fantastic Four comics, and there is, I think it's one of the first few appearances of Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom goes to the Marvel offices, and it is fantastic. It is fantastic. And Dr. Doom has like a shakedown of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. It's so meta. Like, it's just fantastic. Like, I didn't like the way you drew me in that last issue. He's like, what do you want us to do, man? We got deadlines to make.
Years later, Grant Morrison does this in Animal Man, and it's awesome. So I mean, like, every time a character meets their creator, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It definitely brings joy to comic readers' hearts the world over. The battle with Loki and Thor has reached its end, or so we think for now. The Norn stones are lost in they're lost in the kerfuffle because Loki doesn't want to basically incriminate himself, so he sends them off. And when Odin and Thor and Loki all kind of break down the result of the trial of the gods, Thor says, "Okay, I'm gonna go get the stones," and he heads back off to Earth. And there's the conclusion of the Enchantress and Executioner attempted kidnapping of Jane. And Thor goes to Balder, and they kind of have a brief discussion, and then Thor is off again to go find the Norn stones. So that's kind of the first few pages of this issue. But Curtis, I just want to know kind of your impressions of the results of the trial.
So the first bit of this is confusing to me. We saw this in the last issue when Balder hits the Baxter building. He's Balder. When he gets to the bottom floor, he's wearing a suit for some reason. Like, why does Balder need to be in disguise for this?
Exactly right. Thor's attacked by what we believe to be the North Vietnamese army, and they knock him unconscious with a shell. It doesn't destroy him or kill him, but it does knock him unconscious. Curtis, like, did you roll your eyes when you read this? What were your impressions of this type of villain?
Well, it's difficult because I really was expecting that this might get a little problematic.
Yeah.
And so I was very apprehensive. I was actually surprised with how well this was handled for 1960 something.
Yeah.
It seems like they wanted to go through the trouble of having a red menace but not making them otherworldly and unknowably evil.
Yeah.
You know, there's a part where we get to meet the family of a deceased Vietnamese soldier, and they turn them into sympathetic figures.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
And that's really neat, and it's something that I did not expect.
Speaking of that family, when Thor wakes up from being knocked out, he has been taken in. The North Vietnamese army apparently doesn't go after a kill. So this family picks Thor up and they take care of him. And when he wakes up, they kind of explain what is going on. And Thor is given this opportunity to choose between pursuing his mission further to go find the Norn stones and return those to Asgard, or to help out this village. And initially, he thinks twice about it. He's contemplating, should I stick around and help or not? You know, that heroic ideal of helping defenseless people, and then his Asgardian mandate to go get the Norn stones. I like that they added a little bit of conflict here. It wasn't just this, you know, well, I'm a hero, so I do heroic stuff. You know, he actually has to think a little bit and contemplate, like, okay, I know I'm here for a reason, but I'm also like, I'm able to help here. I should help.
Odin's gonna declare him the loser if he can't find the stones within 24 hours. But also, like, he could single-handedly win the Vietnam War. So
I've heard it phrased that way. It's like, oh my gosh, why didn't Stan rewrite history? Do it. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, just if you want to see what it's like when a Superman wins the Vietnam War, you can read Watchmen, I guess.
We move on back to Asgard, where Loki is processing. Loki is consulting Carnilla, the Norn Queen, and this behind the scenes little conflict happens where Loki is gonna use some cat's paws, use some other agents to get his bidding across, and he's sitting there in a little bit of despair. So, Curtis, I just wanted to know, like, when Loki has these introspective moments, like, I think these add to him so much as a character. What was kind of your takeaway from these moments where Loki gets to just kind of be a sad sack?
I have so many thoughts about this page specifically.
Okay, awesome.
I love the like petulant teenager Loki that we have here. He's, throwing his drink at the Norn Queen, and he's throwing himself on his fainting couch, and he's like, I've just got to be evil. Everyone else gets to be the good guy, but I'm Loki, so I've got to be evil.
Gotta be evil.
And he's having this moment in the third panel there where he's just like, he's got his hand on his forehead, and he's just, oh God, I have no choice. But then as he's doing that, he's got this, it's a great panel. You can see like sadness in his face and things like that. But then there's those Vince Coletta eyes, big blank blue circle. Oh my God. I'm so angry at it because it's such a good panel. And it makes it look like he's got lifeless, like doll's eyes.
Dead eyes here.
Dead eyes, dude. I hate it. So angry. So the page itself is great though, especially the one where you see at the very end when he's like, if I'm gonna be evil, I'm gonna go all the way evil, and he's got that glowing orb, and he's just like, yes, feel the evil flow through you. And that's a really good panel as well.
He's speaking of the North Vietnamese soldiers when he says, "Now, my witless pawns, strike at Thor. The time is now." And then we jump over to the next page, and Thor is Don Blake. Sorry, Thor has transformed back into Don Blake to be more inconspicuous. And the Vietnamese soldiers they kidnap him very easily, and they are taking him to the commander. And the commander is trying to figure out why Don Blake is there. And Don says, "Hey, I'm a doctor, like I'm just here to help people." And the commander's like, "I'm not buying it." And then the family that had rescued Thor earlier, they come to Don's rescue, and they're able to help Don transform into Thor again in one of the most impractical transformations that I've reached so far.
So one of the things that you've just summed up, Donald Blake gets captured by the North Vietnamese army, and he's having a meeting with the head of the North Vietnamese army in this area. It's just they don't really say if he's a sergeant or whatever he is, but he's captured and they're taken to this inquisitor fella. And Donald Blake's thinking to himself, "Oh, his eyes are merciless and cold as ice." And you take a look at his eye, and like it's just black. Like Coletta just
tiny little white dots
and like big. It looks like somebody like who would play bass for The Cure. Just so much black eye makeup. But I think that was just laziness on Coletta's part. Like he might have messed up at one point and was just like, the eyes aren't going to be a big thing in this. We'll just exit out. And specifically, there's that line, "Oh, his eyes," and you look at his eyes and it's like got punched in the face twice. Oh, Coletta.
The escape of Don Blake, aided by the family, is they hint at like having lost their son a long time ago, and that plays into the story, the actual like a twist ending here at the climax of the fight, where Thor is going through the base and he takes out the Vietnamese soldiers, but in the other room, as Thor is beating up, all these soldiers, kind of doing what he does, the commander is discovered to be the lost son of this family, and his mother dies. So what do you think about this little twist here, and maybe just some of the beats that story matures into in these last few pages?
It went places. They made decisions, didn't they?
Yeah. Absolutely.
The thing that I liked most about it was the pain on his face when he sees what he's done, because he starts randomly like firing and he ends up hitting his mother and his brother. And you can see like when he's actually shooting, you see his face is just contorted, and he looks like a monster. And then the very next panel, he realizes what he's done, and it's this like, you can see like he's going through the stages of grief. So he's like anger, denial, acceptance, like panel, 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 and it's so wild just to see. It's such a heart-wrenching moment, I guess, is the best way to put it. When his sister escapes and he's just defeated, like he's not bothering to chase her, he's not bothering to shoot after her, he's realized that he's damned himself at this point, and he's going to accept whatever fate comes to him. And it's quite just soul crushing.
The villain knows that he has become something that he originally would have never intended himself to be. After Thor leaves with, I believe the girl's name is Kim, Thor leaves with her. Thor's like, hey, you ever get up to this? Layman's terms, he says, you ever get up to this again? Like, there's nowhere you can hide from me. And then the commander has, he has a little bit of a monologue, and then the last panel. But I'll read his monologue here because I just think it's very much a picture into the time and how Stan Lee rewrote some narrative in here, some cultural narrative. He says, I have brought death to my family and dishonor to my name, but I shall face my fate like a soldier. It was communism that made me what I am, that shaped me into a brutal, unthinking instrument of destruction. To communism, then, may it vanish from the face of the earth and the memory of mankind. And he takes out a pistol and he shoots into. We are assumed to think that he shoots into the collection of bombs that we had seen earlier on in the issue. And then in the last panel, Thor is flying away, and all of the ammunition explodes. And he says, the commander's name, Husak, is dead. Little Kim, but it is as I expected. He died a man. So let's unpack those three panels because there's a lot there, and then we'll wrap this edition of Throwback up. So Curtis, just this last page, there's a lot there. There's a lot there.
There is the page itself looks great. The actual panel of him where he's taking aim at the weapons cache is gorgeous. It's just a simple blue background, and you've got his blank haunted look that really comes across in the art. And he's just saying like, okay, well, I hope all communists die, or whatever he says. And the sentiment may be a bit eye rolly and things like that nowadays, but it really, like, he realizes what he's done. And Thor says, oh, he took responsibility, and it's like, even then he really didn't. He's blaming a system of government for him shooting his mom. Okay, whatever, but
maybe own some personal agency in there.
Maybe, but this is still a gorgeous panel, and the lesson that Stan's putting aside, it's still a really sad story of this guy who accidentally killed his family, killed members of his family, and he's going to commit suicide, and it's pretty heavy for 1960 something.
There, every so often, what I've found in this journey through the issues of Thor is that the side characters will sometimes have way more compelling emotional arcs than Thor himself. And this is one where he's literally in half of this issue. And we're drawn into his emotional arc like that, and then it's just over. It's done. We never see this character again. But there's so much packed into his tension and his turmoil towards the end of his existence as a character.
You could tell that they wanted to get something across. You could tell that they were really like, we want to have a lesson here, and they did. They succeeded in that. Like I said, it's a bit eye rolly nowadays. It definitely seems a little cheap, but it does work emotionally, especially with the way that the art can portray in just a few panels, the way that this guy is feeling. This is an emotional arc that would have taken an entire book nowadays. People would take 24 pages to go through what this guy has just done and really explore. And like Stan and Jack did it in 5 panels.
Yeah, it really, and I think so. If just for a moment, if we divorce the subject matter from the way that the story gets told, so it like the format and the fashion that it's told in is so great, even if, like you said, the topic itself is eye rolly. You could substitute so many different things for morality lesson here, and it would still be a great story in the way that it's told. And I think that's the thing that I highlight here at the end is how the story is told, maybe not the specific story subject itself. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
And this issue feels very different from the previous one. The previous one is an adventure story, and it's high stakes, and it's moving, and it's jumping back and forth. This one is very, even with Loki and this commander, it's very introspective. It's very it's a well thought out attempt to add depth to what is a children's book still.
Yeah, they're looking at their villains and they're saying, what motivates these villains? How can we turn that motivation on its head? How can we make them look like they have layers? And that's really cool. It really comes across in the art. The words for a 1960 something comic book, the words are never going to be as deep as they could be, but it's really when you add just those simple words to art that really tugs at your heartstrings, it can become something really special.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as we wrap up this issue, panels that stood out to you, things from this that stood out to you, and then I want to ask you about your own creative ventures so that people can go support and follow you at those things.
So one of my favorite panels, there's a panel where Thor is charging into the midst of the NVA, and he's twirling the mighty hammer Mjolnir, and he's like kind of balanced on one foot like he's charging head first, and it's a really good looking panel. The next panel is them, of course, flying away like they just got socked with a meteor.
Like a bomb just went
cool.
off, and really it's just him hitting them with a hammer.
Another one that really stood out to me was the one where Hosuk, the NVA commander, realizes that he's shot at his brother and accidentally hit his mother, and the look of shock on his face is, it's a kick in the guts. It really is. The best way I think that you could read those two panels back to back is with the Marvel Universe app, where you can look at each panel specifically instead of looking at a page.
Yes.
When you look at the page, it's panel. But when you look at on the Marvel Universe app, you're looking at that one panel specifically where he's a monster. His face is distorted. There's anger, like there's spit flying, and then the next panel, he's shocked. He's in full color again. The realization is sunk in, and you can go back and forth between those two panels, and it really just those two panels tell a story. It's so gorgeous.
Every man can be a monster, and every monster can tell us something about what it means to be a man.
If that's a rolling storyline that they're going with in this run of comics, they're knocking it out of the park.
Yes.
Yep. So kudos to them.
And that brings us to the end of our throwback issues for the day. I do want to let Curtis tell you all what he's up to and how you can go support his creative endeavors. So Curtis, give him the promo, give him the stump speech.
Oh, you got it, man. Thank you very much for giving me a few seconds to talk about that. So I run a podcast called the Smark Foundation. It is a pro wrestling centric podcast. We focus on being positive about pro wrestling. The pro wrestling fandom can sometimes be a little bit toxic. It can sometimes be very, very negative and a downer. But what we like to do is, my partner Shane and I, we love pro wrestling. We both watched pro wrestling since we were young. and we want to relive some of those great times and try and recapture what we loved about those great times with modern day wrestling. So you'll hear us talking about all major wrestling companies. A lot of people are in the camp of one or the other. We talk about WWE, we talk about AEW, we talk about New Japan. We're going to be talking a lot about Noah because New Japan and Noah are going to be teaming up now, and that makes me very happy. We do like to ramble a little bit, and we have a lot of fun. It's good laughs.
I appreciate the work that those guys do over there, and yeah, go support them. You guys have social media as well, right, Curtis?
We do. You can find us on Facebook. We have a group called the Smart Foundation Debate Dungeon. You can find us on there. Answer the questions, and we'll let you in. Be sure to answer the questions, or we will not let you in. The questions are easy. It's just like, who's your favorite wrestler and stuff. We just want to make sure people are paying attention. You can find us on Instagram at the Smart Foundation. You can find my Instagram if you wanted to follow me. I talk about comic books a lot on ELDESTRUCTO 83, El Destructo 83. You can find us on any major podcatcher. You can find us on YouTube as well at the Smart Foundation. Basically, however you're enjoying this show, please come enjoy our show. We like to every episode, we're a bi-weekly podcast. Every episode we will take a classic match and I'll write a little essay about it and try and explain to you what's going on with the match itself, the story behind the match, what was going on in the world at the time, and how that leads into the story that the two people or more are trying to tell in the ring.
We're gonna let you go. I want to be respectful of your time because I know you're busy across the pond. Hey, we'll see you down the road, man. Anytime you want to talk Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels matches, I am all game for that. I can't wait till you guys get to some Jericho stuff. So, we will see you down the road, and have a great rest of your day, man.
Thank you very much, buddy. It was good seeing you again.
Every so often, it is just fun to sit back and reminisce with a good old friend about comics and about just different things that we love and we enjoy. So I had a great time reconnecting with Curtis and talking to him about these issues of Thor. Before we leave you today, I am going to test out a brand new segment on the show. Normally, what we do is I do an intro, I give you an interview or a discussion, and then we do an outro, and we're out of here. We don't really have segments on the show. But today, I'm going to test out a brand new segment, and that segment is Ryan Recommends. So, really, as the name says, I'm going to recommend something that I think you should go check out this week, whether it's another comic, whether it's a TV show, whether it's a movie, anything. I'm going to recommend something that will put a smile on your face, that you will enjoy, and that I think is worth your time and maybe your money. So this week, Ryan recommends that you go check out Hulk #1 by Donny Cates and Ryan Otley. It came out last Wednesday. I read my copy immediately. It was a nonstop thrill ride. There's some great Ryan Otley art in there. If you maybe don't know Ryan Otley's name off the top of your head, if you know of the Invincible TV show or the Invincible comics, he is the co-creator of that book. So he is definitely a dynamic artist, and he brings his talents to the Hulk here. Donny Cates has been talking about how this story is going to be the most insane Hulk story that we're not even ready for. I believe he said on social media, he said it's effing crazy, it's effing insane. So when I read the first issue, I was going in with that comment being my lead in, and it did not disappoint. The Hulk #1 was fantastic. There are some different dynamics between the Hulk monster and Hulk the man, Bruce Banner. The tagline of this issue is, "What if Hulk is here to protect us from Banner?" So lots of intrigue, lots of great imagery and great writing. There's some callbacks to the King in Black and others. There's so much good stuff in this brand new series for the Hulk. So go check out Hulk #1. Go buy yourself a copy. I think there's about 1,000 different variant covers that you're sure to enjoy at least one of them. So go check out that brand new series, and I know you won't be disappointed. As we close out the show today, I want to just remind you, go and follow the Smart Foundation wherever you can online. Be sure to help out Curtis and Shane with a follow, a rating, a subscription, and check out their show. If you're a pro wrestling fan, you are sure to enjoy it. They keep it positive, and they keep it just really strong and good. It's like strong style podcasting. They do a great job over there. So be sure to go give them your support. And then when you're doing that, don't forget to go give us a rating and a subscription wherever you're going to go do that for the Smart Foundation. Go do it for the Mighty Thor podcast. Your support, your listenership is appreciated, and we would love to just see this show grow. And a lot of how that happens is when we get more eyes on this show. Also, go share it with a friend. Go give the gift in this holiday season. Go give the gift of the Mighty Thor podcast. I would greatly appreciate that. We have some great stuff coming up next week. We're going to be visited by the man that read all of the Marvels, Douglas Wolk, is going to be on the show. He is making the podcasting rounds. He's been on Marvel's podcast. He's been on the Amazing Spider-Cast. He's a frequent guest of Marvel by the Month. Those guys have been a guest on our show. Douglas is making the rounds, promoting his latest book, all of the Marvels, where he recounts things and storylines that really stood out to him from the time he read every Marvel superhero comic. It is truly a feat, crazy thing for one man to do, but he did it. He wrote a book about it. He's gonna come our show next episode to talk about Thor and Loki from a chapter that he wrote in his book called Thunder and Lies. So be sure to check out Thunder and Lies next episode on Sunday. That will be a great conversation, and you will not want to miss it. And then next week, I have a special announcement that I want to share with all of you. Next week is my birthday. That's not the announcement. Next week is my birthday, and I thought I would give you guys a present on my birthday. So on Thursday, a few days after my birthday, I will give you guys an announcement for something that has been it's been really long road to get here. We finally got it ready to unveil, and I want to just give you guys a gift next week. So next week on our Thursday throwback episode, not only will you get a great conversation with another special guest, you will also get a gift yourself, and it will just be a lot of fun to share that with you. So until we see you next time, dear listeners, appreciated listeners, we remind you to stay worthy.